3 ways to get Dak Prescott and the passing game on track. This comes from Chris Arnold.
It's on game 2 since he got back.
Well, Will, overreaction is the name of the game in the
No
NFL,
doubt.
Okay, that's what keeps the wheel turning in the world of sports. Overreaction all the time to everything. But this comes from Chris Arnold's favorite publication, Bleacher Report. 3 ways to get the Dak Prescott and passing game back on track. And I did find some of this to be actually compelling, unlike most things on Bleacher Report. But that's not
trade for a wide receiver. Is that one of them?
I'm just joking. No. Let's start with the first one here, which is actually makes a lot of sense because it talks about what we've been talking about playing off of the running game, and that is continue to utilize play action. This comes from our good buddy John Owning of Pro Football Focus, Reg. Prescott was 11 of 13 for $121 and a touchdown on play action passes against the Detroit Lions on Sunday. So that just gives you an idea.
Bottom line, that's when he's throughout his whole career been at his best.
Yes. He also noted that the Cowboys used play action on around half of his attempts on Sunday. For his career, they've typically used it on 25% of his pass attempts due to the Cowboys and Dak Prescott in play action. So it sounds like it's a good idea to continue to utilize the play action, but that can only be effective if you're running the football well. And
that's not true.
Well,
We know that's not true.
It's a big part of it.
I done came in here and on a day I'm not supposed to be here. And the
I know.
first thing I did
the
was
whole
stop your
first
flow.
hour was on momentum.
First thing I did was stop your flow. How you feel about that? How'd that make you feel?
Well, not surprised. Not surprised. Not surprised at all.
He's like Carmelo. He's the ball stopper.
That's right. And while that's being the case, the thing about the play action is like that helps people. That helps create good passing, right? Like we've seen the analytics has kind of shown that play action is helpful in these things, in these endeavors, and in a league right now where passing is kind of tougher to come by, especially with defenses progressing. And, we've seen kind of one of these massive defensive ideological shifts to like a lot of cover two and just forcing teams to be diligent in passing underneath and not getting giant chunk plays. Play action is definitely going to be useful, especially when you consider the wide receiving core that you have. And this is a wide receiving core that maybe doesn't necessarily get great separation in and of themselves. You know what's going to keep, help with zones and help create a little bit of space in the middle of the field? Play action and drawing those linebackers up. So I think that if for no other reason, doing that and continuing to give yourself space over the middle to link up with a CeeDee Lamb who might get the ball and turn it into a yak, to link up with a Noah Brown and I don't know how much that would affect Michael Gallup on the outsides, but yeah, those types of things, it's absolutely imperative to use play action.
Look, I think that, if the running game is effective, then it's going to very much help play action. But a lot of teams will go to play action to slow down a pass rush in order for them to have to kind of, wait and see instead of like if you're just gunning up along the sides, wait and see if, the ball is being handed off or not because, that's I think that's what a lot of teams are going to be doing with the Cowboys. Conversely, to try to slow down the pass rush. Is doing a lot of play action.
And it'll be interesting to see on Sunday how well Matt Eberflus's defense gets after Dak Prescott. The last time that Matt Eberflus saw Dak Prescott on the field, he was an assistant coach with the Indianapolis Colts, and the Cowboys went to Indy and were promptly shut out on that particular day. So Matt Eberflus has a good idea.
Matt's done a pretty good job so far
on the strengths and weaknesses of the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. Now, obviously, things have changed a little bit since then. Dak Prescott has improved dramatically as a passer since then, according to most. Not a lot of others may feel that way. But this is a different quarterback that Eberflus is going to see on Sunday. So it'll be interesting to see the chess match between this offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, and Matt Eberflus and his defense, and how much that will play, especially if Ezekiel Elliott can't go as he's dealing with a knee injury that he suffered against the Detroit Lions on Sunday. Number 2, on how the Cowboys offense can get turned around with Dak Prescott is, Will, something that you suggested just a little bit ago. Trade for wide receivers. Specifically, they say in this particular column, Chase Claypool from Pittsburgh. are you on board with the idea of drafting the 6'4", 238-pound receiver from the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I wouldn't hate it. I mean, I kind of developed a sweet tooth for the whole DJ Moore idea, but I still think that there's enough in the tank with him. Clearly with what they've got with Deontay Johnson, I think Pickens is going to be, that dude's good.
Yeah, he's going to be a monster.
Some of the stuff he does, I'm just kind of like, what, dude? Like, what are you doing? But talented player.
Who are we talking about?
Claypool.
Claypool at that instance? I mean, look, big-bodied, really good wide receiver. I mean, when it comes down to talent, yeah, would love to have that guy.
You love those kind of guys in the red zone, too.
Sure. Is this a front office that's willing to put that down, right? To put down whatever is necessary to get that guy? Especially when you look across the NFC East and you see that the Eagles and Howie Roseman definitely, they smell blood, is the expression. Like, they are in a way and they look around and they're like, oh, this is a possibility. We gonna stock up, right? And I think that a lot of Cowboys fans want the Cowboys to act similarly. So I guess that is the way that you could justify going and doing something like this.
And you would get Claypool on the cheap because he's only due $673,000 for a team that's trading for him at the deadline. And
but that might make his
the compensation necessary to get him.
Yeah. And he has just 1 year left on his rookie deal. So, look, the compensation would be there, but any wide receiver that you're going to trade for, especially if you're talking about the likes of a DJ Moore or a Chase Claypool, you have to think about whether or not you're willing to extend that player going down the road as well. Because if you do, you still got big ticket items like CeeDee Lamb if you're still willing to commit to paying him. Obviously, Trayvon Diggs is up for a contract extension at the end of this year. And then after the end of next year, hello.
Mike is going to get $200 million a year.
Yeah, Micah Parsons becomes the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. So you've got a lot to think about if you're going to be using that kind of capital to trade for a wide receiver and then possibly having to pay said wide receiver.
Wait, hold on. Is this Kevin the Gray Jr. talking about cap restrictions and calculations and such?
I want all the players. I want all the good players. This is just...
I don't know. That's not what it sounded like. You were real concerned about cap considerations.
Somebody has really changed their tone
Some
when it
might
comes
say
to the
you
cap.
are a cap boy.
No. This is how Cap Boy thinks.
Yeah.
And why they don't necessarily make the kinds of moves.
It's never a fun time when the words you use get used against you.
And that's what I'm here for, baby.
Well, thanks a lot. So you can go home now. Thanks.
Oh, I'm about to. Don't worry about it. You thought you was going to get 2 seconds.
Man's been working today.
But that's what the front office is, I think, they're thinking about. If you're going to use the kind of capital to go get a wide receiver of that kind of caliber, not only the capital you spend, but the money you're going to possibly pay said wide receiver when the time comes, knowing you've got a lot of other people to pay for. And again, people really not going to like this.
It's the splashiest move that they have made since Brandon Carr was the Amari Cooper thing, right?
Well, sure.
Am I missing anything else? I mean, it's not in their MO anymore.
No. But the other part about this too is, and again, people are not going to like it, but you have to start thinking about a Dak Prescott contract extension as well, because again, he signed that 4-year deal. So after this year, we're already halfway through that deal. So that also comes into play going into the next year or two as well, if you believe that man is still going to
I think that'll end up helping them, to be honest.
You know what's funny? We've had this big conversation about acquiring wide receivers. Ain't this supposed to be what's going to help them win this game this week? I don't think there's a single wide receiver you could trade for, plug and play, and say that this is going to be the way that you beat the Chicago Bears.
I mean, their pass defense is pretty good. Chicago is.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be able to run the ball against the Bears.
Because they are a little soft up the middle. But yeah, on the outside, they've got some really talented secondary players. I mean, Jaquan Brisker, the rookie out of Penn State, has been
Eddie
fantastic
Jackson.
for them. Yeah, Jackson's been really good for them.
Is Jalen still out? What's going on with Jalen? I'll check.
Jalen Humst.
Johnson.
Oh, okay.
But they've got some talented players.
I was like, look, man, in 2022, you can't just say is Jalen. There's a
Right,
thousand.
Yeah,
of
I say
Jalen's a
Jalen
common
Rose, Jalen Hurts,
in a 25-mile
Jalen
radius.
Hyatt.
It's
Who
not
are we
smaller.
talking about? Like who was Jalen? We talking
He was
about?
he was a full participant. No, I don't know. To be determined. I'll take a
Fantastic.
look. I forgot.
I think that was great.
Finally, how about this one? I like this one a lot. More early down passes Now, here's an interesting statistic here. This comes from Reed Hansen of the Dallas Morning News. The Cowboys had 26 plays on first and second down with 25 run plays in the same situation. However, the Cowboys boasted a 65% success rate on early passing downs as opposed to the 48% success rate in the run game. So that kind of tells me maybe you might want to start throwing it a little more on first down because your success rate clearly is a little bit better there, given the fact that your run success rate is at 48%. But they did have 40% success rate for both runs and passes on third and fourth down.
This is where I think you can get into the weeds and too analytical on stuff. At the end of the day, I just want a nice balance of running it and passing it so they don't know you're not predictable. That's it. And maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but I don't want a team to run it every time on first down, and I don't want a team to pass it every time on first down. I want to do whatever. If you are able to find something that's effective, just keep doing it until they can stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Or keep them on their toes by not knowing. I don't.
And I mean, look, when it comes down to it, passing the ball is usually more efficient than running the football just in general. But one thing that you also have to consider is your ability to pass protect, right? Like KG, me and you were talking about this last night. You look at the pass block win rate for this Cowboys team. It's not good.
Not good.
It's very not good, right? And that's why you saw in that last game, first and third down of your first possession, Dak Prescott was in the blender of blue jerseys, right? And you had to then go back to your max protect type situation. If you coming out max protect trying to throw the football and now you were limited to one or two routes, or maybe one or two routes in the passing pattern, you're not giving yourself a ton of opportunity for success. So I think that all those circumstances come into play when you have to make that decision of whether you're running, whether you're passing. And obviously you don't have to pass in the same way. It doesn't all have to be sticks routes, right? Like there's, just passes out to the flats, getting some screens. Like when was the last time you saw a tunnel screen?
I mean, I was thinking about that because like we've seen it so many times this year with Tony in space, right? Like you give Tony a crease, man, he's going for 20. I mean, he's been like tripped up a couple of times. I mean, how many times has Tony been tackled after a pretty good game that, I mean, there was literally just one guy to beat or else he's gone. I'm kind of surprised at the lack of screens in that sense. But the least predictable you are, the better chance you have of dictating to the defense.